welcome to episode 9 of the Flax Golden Knits podcast, a podcast about knitting. I am Kristen. I live in Nashville, Tennessee with my husband and our 2 kitty cats. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Flax Golden Knits, and I do now have a Ravelry group, or we have a Ravelry group. It is our Ravelry group, and that is the Flax Golden Knits podcast group. And I think that's it. I do want to say welcome to all new viewers and welcome back to all returning viewers. I am so happy to have you all with me today, and I have a cat trying to get into my lap, which is why I seem very distracted right now. You want to say hi? Mr. Moo wanted to say hi, well, except now he doesn't. He's realized what's really going on. I don't have any kitty snacks for you. Go on. Go on. Get out of here. I would like to say welcome to all new viewers and welcome back to all returning viewers. I'm so excited to have you with me today. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of time with me. And I'm so excited to be here today. It's been a couple of weeks since I last recorded, if you don't count the little mini episode that was the kickoff to the Wall-of-Shawls knit along. And I didn't mean to be gone this long, but life got hectic, as life is wont to do. And do you hear my cat? He's going crazy out there. What are you doing? Okay, so let's jump right in because, well, I don't have a whole lot for you today, but let's just jump in anyway. I don't have any FOs for you today, but I do have a couple of works in progress, including a new work in progress, and just a teensy-tiny acquisition and some administration news. We do have a giveaway to talk about later, and then the Wall-of-Shawls knit along, and we can just talk about how that's going so far. So yeah, let's just get started. So like I said, no finished objects, very sadly, but I do want to show you my new work in progress, which is my new shawl. My shawl that I've been talking about for several episodes, which is the Morgan shawl by Jessica Gore of, I think, the Sweater Collective. I have the pattern right here, and I will tell you exactly. Yeah, the Sweater Collective, the Morgan shawl. And I will just show you the picture of it to see if it comes out on the screen. This is it. Isn't it so pretty? It's really just a bunch of eyelets, which I don't know, I just love this shawl, the simplicity of it and the sort of the geometry of the way the eyelets line up, and I just love this shawl. And so the last time we talked, I had still not gotten any yarn for it, and I was unsure if I was going to go to House of Yarn or order something online, and I did end up swinging by House of Yarn one day on the way home from work, and I decided to go with this yarn. Look at it. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I think it's hard to tell right now, but I think this is coming out a little washed out on screen. Is this a little better? It is a light sort of pinky mauve color. I say mauve, but some people say mauve. I don't know which is correct, but my grandmother always said mauve. Mauve was her favorite color. And so I just have always said mauve. But I looked around the pattern. In the pattern, she calls for, or I guess maybe the sample is knit out of Skein Merino Silk Sport yarn. And that's 50% merino, 50% silk. And that is an indie dyer, I believe. Because I did go on the website and I couldn't, there were only maybe 2 colorways available in that yarn base. Stumbling over my words today, but I'm not gonna go back because it's already 9 o'clock here and I'd like to get this podcasted. So I did look at the Skein website, and they didn't have that base available in very many colors, and actually it was only available in 2 colors, and those 2 colors were not colors that I wanted to knit with at the moment. They were very nice, but just not what I was wanting. I wanted something sort of light. And so I did want to stick with something that had some silk content, and most indie dyers that I know of don't do a lot of sort of 50% silk, 50% merino, or some of them don't have silk in their bases at all. So I went to House of Yarn so that I could touch and feel and look around. House of Yarn, if you haven't heard, is a fabulous yarn store here in Nashville. I did take some video of it while I was in the store, and I will pop that at the end of the podcast so you can take a look inside. And I believe Amy of Stranded Dye Works, or the Stranded podcast, has done a little or I guess it's LYS to me, not to her really, but she's done a little video when she was here for SSK a couple of years ago. But I will pop one up also, because they're always kind of switching things out in there and sort of getting new yarns. And anyway, so I went to House of Yarn to see if I could find a sport weight, because also a lot of indie dyers don't offer sport weight. So, I mean, because that's so close to fingering, I think that they're more likely to do a DK weight, so like fingering and DK and maybe, the worsted and bulky, but you don't see a lot of sport. So I went to House of Yarn and I looked around, and I still didn't see anything in sport or DK that had the content that I guess sort of the silk content that I was looking for, that I also liked any of the colors in. And actually, every time I found something that I liked the color, they only had one skein of it. So, and I know that, I'm sure they probably could have ordered it for me, but I really wanted it right then, if I was going to go to the yarn store for it. So I ended up going over to the fingering section and looking around in there and figuring that I could always add an extra, a few extra repeats of the pattern, the stitch pattern, if the shawl was turning out too small. So I figured that it didn't matter as much with the shawl that I get if my yarn was going to be a little bit thinner. And it does say that you can go with a thick fingering weight, which I didn't. I went with a pretty average fingering weight yarn, actually maybe even a thin fingering weight yarn, but I'm not worried about it. So oh my gosh, I am just rambling. So what I ended up going for was the this Sulka Legato Mirasol Sulka Legato. Here is the little tag. Is that focusing for you? And it is a 60% wool, 20% alpaca, 20% silk. So I still didn't get the silk content that I wanted. So alpaca and silk are both drapey, but silk has that heavier, sort of a weightier drape to it. So I am sure this isn't going to drape quite the way the pattern was intended to, but I just didn't find anything. And I did look around also online at like the at yarn.com, and I just didn't find anything that I liked. So what you gonna do? What you gonna do? But this is the Rosewood colorway, and it is just, it's knitting up beautifully. I am so in love with it. I'm gonna show it to you right now. It's turning out, it's, you know, it's all kind of doing the thing that it does when it hasn't been blocked, which is it's not laying out nicely, but you can see how it's so pretty. I just love this pattern. I love how it all lines up, and it's just very, it's very feminine, I guess, without being girly. So it's sort of, it's delicate, and I guess part of that is the color. I'm sure if it was being made out of like a bright lime green, that it would have a more modern feel to it. But this is just exactly, I wasn't looking for this color. I really wasn't even looking for a peachy or mauvey or pinky color at all. I actually thought that I might go with a gray, but when I saw this, I just immediately fell in love with this color. So it's, like I said, it's just a, you know, a lot of yarn over, knit two together kind of thing. Nothing too very complicated. I did mess it up 2 days ago somehow, and had to tink back a couple of rows until I just got back to a place where my count was on. I never could figure out what I had done. But yeah, so there's not really much to say about it other than it's been just a joy to knit. It's been just really, the yarn and the pattern both have just been an absolute pleasure to knit. And I did end up, so I got the yardage specified for the pattern, and then I got home and I thought, well now Kristen, you chose a yarn that's thinner than the yarn than it was supposed to be, so you might have to do extra repeats, so why don't you just go back to the store and get another skein just in case, while I could still get it in the dye lot. And so I did, and when I was there I got a little extra surprise, which I will show you later. So there you go, the Morgan shawl by Jessica Gore, and I really do love like everything she does, just gorgeous. Okay, so moving along, I am so excited to show you that I've made some progress on my Lorem Ipsum sweater. And the last time we talked, I had just cast it on. Like, literally all I had to show you was the cast on my needle. And since then, I knit about 2.5 inches and then realized that the size that I had chosen, you know, we talked last time. This is the Lorem Ipsum sweater by Jennifer Dassau, by the way. The last time we talked, you know, my gauge had been a little wonky, but I didn't want to go up to a size 8 needle because I didn't like the looseness of that fabric. And so I had done some math magic and decided that I was going to knit the size, I had decided that I was going to knit the size 42.5 and that was going to come out to the correct size for me. And so I had cast on and done about 2.5 inches, and I kind of held it up to me, which I know is not necessarily an accurate representation of what it's going to be like when it's, you know, finished and blocked and everything, but it was a bit small. And I had to have a talk with myself because I realized that what I had done is that I had, I guess, not been honest with myself about my true size. So I have gained a little weight in the past several months because, like I had talked about, I had been depressed, and I don't have the depression that makes you not want to eat. I have the depression that just makes you want to stuff your face with everything. So yes, so I've gained a little weight, which, you know, it's just a thing. It's just a thing. I'm still, you know, I'm still fine, but I was just not being honest with myself about it. That's the thing. I just realized that I think that I've been looking at myself at the screen instead of into the eye of the camera. So if it seems like I've been avoiding your gaze this whole first part of the episode, I apologize. From now on, I will try to look at you in the eye. But I'm not going to go back to the beginning. So you'll just have to pardon me. Anyway, so I had to have a talking with myself and just be like, okay, Kristen, it's time that you knit for the body that you have and not the body that you used to have or the body that you have in your imagination. And, you know, I might very well lose that weight, but I just want to be honest with myself about it and make sure that, you know, if I don't, that I'm going to have a sweater that I can wear. You know, I can always wear a sweater that's a little bit big for me, but to have a sweater that's too small and I've put all that work into it would just be a real bummer. So I ripped that whole thing out and I cast on one size up. Yeah, so it wasn't a whole lot, but it was enough. And this does seem to be much better sized for me. And I mean, this sweater does have a lot, this fabric does have a lot of give, but the neckline, you know, where the cast on edge is, my camera just randomly shut down, so I don't know what that was all about. But I'm back again. So I am absolutely loving this yarn and this pattern, and it is just turning out beautifully. I don't know if you can see very well, but it is very lovely. Ah. It's kind of hard to see. Kind of hard to see, but on camera, but it is turning out very nicely, very nicely. And I don't have much to say about it other than, you know, that I had to rip it out and start over in a larger size. When I gain weight, it all goes to my midsection, so my boobs and my belly. Just I am I guess what one would call apple-shaped. I'm not really shaped like an apple, but that is, I think that's the trait of the apple-shaped, is when you gain weight, all of your weight goes to your center. So that is what is happening. It's very inconvenient because you can't, like, you know, everything is right here. So, you know, pants and shirts, nothing fits when I gain weight. It's a real pain. It's a real pain. I'm just gonna move along because I feel like I'm just going to make an ass out of myself if I keep talking. I'm feeling very disconnected. So my third project that I have put a little bit of work into this time are my vanilla socks, sort of vanilla springtime socks that I'm knitting on dpns. And actually, I just have the one sock going. Through this process, I have learned that I do much prefer knitting socks on circular needles 2 at a time, toe up. But you know, it's a good exercise, and it has been fun once I got past the miserableness of the 2x2 rib at the cuff of the sock, and I just started knitting in the round. It is quite fun. You can just speed around and around on the double pointed needles once you're in the round. But it's been a while since I knit with double pointed needles, and I do find that I'm getting ladders. You can see that ladder right there. It is quite pronounced. Yeah, I guess I just, you know, it's a different feel doing it on the circulars than it is the double pointed needles, and I'm just out of practice getting those ladders out of there. So I was knitting last night. We had some friends over, and I was just kind of knitting around and around on this sock and not paying as much attention as, you know, I would have been had I not been conversating. And I just I didn't notice until I'd kind of gotten about that far. But I am just absolutely loving this yarn. It is it's the same yarn base as my Vanilla Valentine's socks, if you remember from way back around Valentine's Day. And so it's the same yarn base. It's the Lane Cervinia Forever. I think Plymouth Yarns puts that out, I'm not sure. But it is like it's a self-patterning yarn, obviously. Look at it. And I just, like, I liked the colors, which is why I got it in the first place, because I liked those colors. But it is so much fun knitted up. I mean, look at that. Look at all of those bright colors, and this section is my favorite. This sort of bright peachy orange right there. I'm so in love with that. And I have been knitting that far, and I have not even come close. I mean, yeah, I have not even reached a repeat. So it's been quite interesting. It really keeps the attention. So, and that is how I store my double points when I am knitting on a sock. I just put them together like that, and then I weave this spare one like that, and it just kind of holds them all in place. I've never had a problem with them if I keep them that way. I've never had a problem with them coming out or anything. So that is all of my works in progress. So I guess now let's go straight into acquisitions. So obviously the yarn that I bought for the Morgan shawl that I'm working on, that was an acquisition since last we spoke. And then when I went back to get that 4th skein, just to make sure that I had enough yarn, and here's some rustling, I also saw these little guys right here. Oh my gosh, look at them. They're so cute. These are by Old Rusted Chair, which is a Nashville-based hand dyer. And these are sock minis. Yeah, sock mini skeins. Let's see, this is the Daybreak sock mini skein colorway, color palette, and this is the Lo-Fi color palette. Look at that. So pretty. And I just absolutely love, 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 love both of these. And I did get one for myself, and I got one for you guys. So one of these is going to be the one of the prizes for the Wall-of-Shawls knit along. So the Wall-of-Shawls knit along kicked off on April 1st, and it is it runs the rest of the year, so through the end of 2018, and it is a knit along where you can knit any shawl pattern, as long as it would be classified as a shawl / wrap on Ravelry, even though it doesn't have to be a Ravelry pattern. As long as you finish it in between April 1st and the end of 2018, you can enter for a prize on the Flax Golden Knits podcast group, forum, blah. And so we are just knitting along on our little shawls, and we will have some prizes, and I am trying to figure that out. Like I said in the, I think I said this in the video, I am obviously a one-woman show, and so I have to gather all of the prizes, and I'm just beginning to do that. So one of these mini skein sets will be a prize, and I think that I'm going to shoot for doing the first drawing in June. So there will be a couple of drawings along the way. I'm thinking one in June, and then we'll do maybe one in the fall, maybe early fall, and then one at the end of the year. And I'm hoping to have at least 3 or 4 prizes to be able to draw 3 or 4 names for each drawing, for each prize group, and to be able to give away at least 3 or 4 prizes to people. And so this will be one of them. I actually don't know. I can't remember which of these I got for myself, so I'm very sorry, but I'm gonna have to take a look at them when I have some daylight and see which one I think I would use more. But they are just, adorable. I love them so much. I mean, look at them. They're so pretty. I don't know how I'm going to choose because they're both so pretty. These are much more tonal with some speckles, and these are very speckled and variegated kind of. But they're both so pretty. I really love Old Rusted Chair. This that I'm wearing, obviously, if you have watched this, podcast before, this is the Stay Soft Shawl by Vera Valimaki. I finished it, I think last podcast was when I had finished it, and I wear it all the time. I really need to get the Morgan shawl finished so I can have at least 2 shawls to wear, because I wear this all the time. And yeah. So, anyway, but this beautiful, beautiful blue color and this gorgeous, gorgeous yellow color, both are Old Rusted Chair yarns, and I just love her colors. And while I was at House of Yarn, I was talking to Meg, who I think is the owner there, and she was telling me that this coming up Saturday is LYS Appreciation Day. That's Local Yarn Store Appreciation Day, which I must just be living in a hole, because I feel like I am always the last person to know everything, because I had not heard that that was even a thing. I admit I have not been keeping up with my knitting podcasts lately. I've just, I don't know. I have just been kind of in my own little bubble. So maybe that's why I don't know, or I didn't know. But now I do, and I do plan to go by. House of Yarn is going to be hosting, I guess, sort of like mini trunk shows for 4 or 5 different indie dyers or stitch marker makers or bag designers, just a different smattering of knitting related products. And I want to go and say hi and see them all and get some things. So maybe I will also get a prize or 2 while I am out doing that on Saturday. It's my first Saturday off in a few weeks, and I am very excited about it. So, Saturday, April 20th is, April 21st is local yarn store appreciation day, so go appreciate your local yarn store. And, ooh, maybe I'll have to go down to Bliss Yarns too. I'll have to do my own little mini yarn store tour. Yarn crawl? I have to do my own little mini yarn crawl. See what Bliss is doing this weekend as well. So go appreciate your local yarn store and knit away on those shawls. And one more little item of business, I almost forgot, I'm so sorry, is the giveaway that is happening today. Today was the deadline to go over to the podcast group and introduce yourself in the Hi, my name is thread to enter for the giveaway of a shawl pattern. I was going to give away 5 shawl patterns to 5 different people that I drew from the Hi, my name is thread, but for better or for worse, we only had 8 people introduce themselves. So I am just going to give away 8 shawl patterns because I just cannot fathom picking 5 people from the 8 and leaving 3 behind. So everybody gets a pattern. I know who I ended with, I know who was the last person. So, but if you're just watching this, please do go and say hi, join the group. We have a good little conversation going about shawls. China Knits has been great about finding shawls for us to drool over. And it has been really fun reading through some of the comments. So I will be going back to the Hi, my name is and actually commenting on your lovely posts. I had been holding myself back because I didn't want the drawing process to get too complicated, but it turns out I needn't have worried because there just weren't that many people who went over there, which I know it was only 2 weeks and I am a fairly new podcast, and I don't know. I know that there are some really awesome podcasters out there. So very entertaining ladies and gentlemen. So I know there's a lot of steep competition out there, and that's okay. I'm just here doing my thing. Even if I'm talking into the wind, that is pretty much fine with me. But if you're interested, please do go join the group and chat with us, and I would love to hear from you. A few people have added me as their Ravelry friends, and I do appreciate it, and I have added them back. It is really nice to meet everyone and just be building this community. It is really lovely. So I am going to let you go. I'm just twisting and turning here in my seat. It is getting late, and it was a long day, and I'm really ready to put on my Jimmy Jams and relax with my kitty cats. So I will see you in 2 weeks. Okay, until then, happy knitting. Go say hi on the Ravelry group. Let's do some chitter chatter. And yeah, thank you so much for watching. Bye.